Hello. Thank you for joining us today on the Oracle's Guide. Um, Another entry for In Search of God. Um, it's called as Part 8. A lot of feedback coming in. As I said before, a lot of people upset, a lot of insults, um, people calling people monkeys, and oh man, some of the comments are crazy. But thank goodness there's people there to dispute some of those comments and such. And this whole series was about being in search of God, right? Many years ago, when I started on this journey, my thought was, at first I got the Torah, and I got the Holy Bible, and I got the Holy Quran. And I read each one of the three. And I realized after I was done that they both had agreement up to a certain point. And so that seems to me to be the foundation for all three. And, so as we speak about the similarities between them, there was many similarities. But everyone can't be the one, right? Of course, the Jews feel that that they're the chosen people, and their God is the one true God. Christians feel the same way, that their religion is the one true religion, basically, and their God is God, and so do the Muslims. Now, in order of what came first, there's a lot of nonsense being said that the Muslim religion is the oldest religion. And I'm here to tell you that's not true. Actually, it's the youngest of the three. How do I know that? Well, if you look at the Torah, inside the Torah, they never make a mention of the Bible or the Quran because it didn't exist then. They hadn't been written yet. Okay, you realize these are books, so there was a day that someone wrote the first books, that are in these publications, right? And as I said, in the Torah, it never speaks about the Bible or the Quran. But then when you go to the Bible speaks about the Torah because it came after. And then when you go to the Quran speaks about the Bible and the Torah. That just evidence shows you the order of things, okay? There's a lot of discussion about, a little off the subject, but somehow people are spending their time talking about their thoughts about Africa, and, is it a shithole continent, and even though civilization is the oldest there, what have they done with that time advantage? What contributions have been made to the world? It's almost like some people living in a different world. So it causes for me to have discussions about what everybody's wanting to talk about at this moment. Instead of me moving even more forward to enlighten, at least from my perspective, on what I found in the search for God. Everybody's still stuck on the very first part, right? So, you know, just the things that I'm going to mention now is minuscule, only scratches the surface of the contributions that came from Africa into Europe and into the rest of the world. And um, like example, when you look at the Greek philosophers who were supposed to be the greatest minds on earth, Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, when you look at their writings, which I said before, and I'll reiterate, they say they learned in Africa, in Egypt. This is where they learned, right? So when I'm seeing things talking about the low IQ of Africans, people wanting to separate, no, these were Egyptians and sub-Saharan, and you're talking about a place where people were all together, okay, and somebody's marrying somebody else, and maybe from a different tribe or maybe from a different country and such like that, but it's all together, okay. There were pharaohs from Ethiopia. There were pharaohs who were Arab. There were pharaohs who were you know from Rome. Okay, the issue is, you know, people were being coming and with force conquering the area, and they're there for any amount of time. Probably is going to be children, okay, and so I don't see why that's so strange, right? Example, you know, William Shakespeare, one of the great playwrights of all time, right? Do you know that the majority of Shakespeare's works, the main character was African? Did you know that? Did you know the Three Musketeers, another literary work in Europe, was written by Alexander Dumas? A black man wrote the Three Musketeers. Okay, and just many, many more. Okay, King of Scotland. There's in the samurai. There's early black samurai, African samurai, that were emperors. Same thing in China, one of the earliest dynasties. You look at the picture, somebody black, dark skin was there. You know, so I'm just saying, all through history and even until today, there have been contributions from the continent of Africa into the world. And then I see people making statements about, like I said, shithole country and continent, excuse me, and nothing of value being there and such, and the whole rest of the world, you know, being developed. Okay, if there's nothing there and there's nothing that has a value, why through all time have been people from other countries coming into Africa to try to take over and try and rule and try and bring the things they found back home if it has no value? I don't understand that. If the continent has no value, why do you keep coming uninvited? Somebody must see a value. Other than that, you stay home. You don't go and risk your life and start a war and killing your own people and other people. What are you fighting for if there's nothing there? So that concept makes no sense to me. Okay. And all of the trying to divide, I've seen people in the comments say there were Caucasian people in Africa before there were black and brown people in Africa. How? I mean, I'm sure you know the sun has an effect, especially over time, on your skin color, your skin tone. Okay? The reason that Caucasian people have the complexion they have and their eyes are the color they are is because they were in places that didn't have, their ancestors were in places that didn't have sun as strong as in other places. Okay? It was ice age going on, in Europe. Living in caves, not a lot of light. So your skin can be white, your eyes can be light, but you couldn't survive like that in a climate that was going to be detrimental to your health. The power of the sun. I mean, this is things everybody knows, but I'm telling you, when I'm looking at the comments, common sense is not always common, and if somebody doesn't have an intelligent answer, they just use insults, calling people names and things like that. That accomplishes nothing. Why does it matter? It matters because, as I said before, you made it matter. We've already gone through thousands of years now where one group of people made it matter that they remain superior to another group of people and use lies about ancient texts and how things came about in order to maintain control. Okay? So, let's move forward, right? Let's just understand that all I was speaking about was the beginning of the information and how the information flowed to the places that it got. Have a good day. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell notification. New videos coming out. People are very, very, there's some good discussions going on, and there's some crazy discussions going on. But we welcome them all. All right. Peace.